Hey everyone, I wanted to give all four of you just some feedback here in terms of your second tech report. Really good job on this particular report. I thought your executive summary was actually very well done. You provided some very good background. You provided some, obviously, some of the factors that you used to consider. Avoid etc. just because it makes it seem as if like that you don't really know all the factors. Rather than put in et cetera, it's totally okay for just for you to list the factors that you're actually going to address. I also think that you did a very good job in giving us sort of the recommendation in terms of how you based it, and whether or not, depending on the profile of the actual audience. I thought that was probably one of the strongest aspects of this report, is just how much you were going back to this notion of audience and the fact that you were trying to really give a recommendation that was based on that profile. So great job in doing that. I think your introduction, again, was really well done. You provided a lot of background in terms of like, okay, what does it mean to buy a car? What does it mean to lease a car? And then, of course, you went into talking about some of the pros and cons of each, beginning with the pros of the buying, of course, and then the negative aspects, perhaps the negative attributes of buying, then the advantage of leasing, and then over here you went into talking about the disadvantage of leasing. So great job in really kind of structuring your paper in a way that was very easy to follow. In this case, for example, then you provided for us specifically where you were headed with this particular project in terms of a Honda Accord Coupe that you were looking at. You provided some of the specifics of this particular car, and then you got into investigative method. In this particular section in here, I thought you did a good job in talking about each factor that you were going to take a look at. So over here you talked about the discount rate. You discussed that over here. You looked at you gave us the consumer profile. Again, great job in doing that. And this particular figure, though, I don't know if I ever saw anywhere in here where you actually referenced it. I was looking for it. You had so you have a great figure, I think, where that really explains the whole leasing process, but I don't know if you ever really referenced that in your actual paper. So again, be careful anytime you have a figure, anytime you have some sort of visual artifact, you want to be able to actually reference it, right? And I think that would probably be my overall comment here in terms of the results and the discussion section. I think that on the one hand, you did a good job in the beginning in talking about, okay, so now that we've now that we've talked about or discussed in our investigative method section the notion of discount rates. Now, all right, well, now what do we do? Now, what have we found out about that? So you do a good job in prefacing this in here. However, then you provide visual artifact, visual. You want to avoid providing so many visuals without your discussion. In here, really, the only you reference it, figures 2 and 3, but in many ways you only preface it with 1 or 2 sentences, and then you give us figures 2, figure 3, and figure 4. So you want to be careful with providing, and then over here you've got another visual in here, this table. So again, it's okay to have visuals, but you need to follow up with text, and the text has to be a little bit more than 1 or 2 sentences in this case for figures 2 and 3. Okay, so as I move forward with that, that was probably the only I would say weakness in this latter part of the report. The fact that you had all these visuals, and all of a sudden these visuals didn't really have a lot of discussion or explanation to them. All right, same thing in here. If you look take a look at this, for example, this one right here, sensitivity analysis. You tried to provide a little bit of that in here, but I think you needed a little bit more to discuss the sensitivity analysis, because that's actually a pretty kind of complex section. So I'm glad that you at least tried to in here, but there's only 2 sentences to really support that. So overall, though, your recommendation was really well done. You provided, again, you brought it back to the notion of audience, and I think it was very clear there. Okay, great job on this. Let me know if you have any questions for me. Okay, thanks.